Welcome to Legally Ponzaneli, a podcast dedicated to the real stories behind the legal profession. I'm your host, Stephanie Ponzaneli, a law graduate from the University of Arkansas School of Law. Each week, we will hear from law graduates who share candid conversations, practical advice, and real experiences that show you just how different everyone's journey into the legal profession can be. This episode is sponsored by Belmonte, a skincare and lifestyle brand centered around the reminder to slow down, stay grounded, and be present in the moments that matter most. We also want to thank Kaplan Bar Prep for giving us the opportunity to give away free bar prep courses. If you or someone you know is planning to use Kaplan as their bar prep course, make sure to use our code PASSWITHPONZ to save an additional $100 off your course. A special thank you as well to Las Comadres Mail Club for sponsoring this month's guest gifts. Las Comadres Mail Club is a monthly Happy Mail subscription that celebrates Latina pop culture, nostalgia, and creativity. Every envelope feels like an extra cartita from your favorite comadre, filled with stickers, art, and thoughtful surprises. All right, guys, so we are welcoming back Maggie for part 2. I'm really excited. Thank you for coming back, Maggie.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
So I want to learn about the Louisiana bar, how it's different, what the test looks like, and what bar prep you can use for that.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so the Louisiana Bar is taken over a course of a week. It is 3 days testing, so it's Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 5 is usually the standard time. Each exam, you have 3 hours to take. So on Monday, you have Code 1, Code 2, Code 3. On Wednesday, you have Louisiana Civ Pro, torts, Louisiana torts, and then BA, which is business administrations. And then Friday, you have constitutional law, which also has First Amendment in it. You have crim law, crim pro, and federal civil procedure. So each test is 3 hours long. So the first section of Monday is Code 1, so you get 3 hours for Code 1, 3 hours for Code 2, and 3 hours for Code 3. And then the same for Wednesday and Friday.
Wait, are you saying it's 9 hours of testing a day?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, basically we started every morning at 8 o'clock. And that was with like standard time testing. Like if you were given extra time, you were put into a separate room. And I don't really know how much time they were given because I think it just depends on your accommodations and how that all kind of plays out. I feel like everyone kind of gets put in separate rooms depending on how much extra time they get. But yeah, it's a full week. And you have Tuesday and Thursday in between to be like your rest days to kind of recuperate in a sense, but really you're studying, like you're reviewing on your rest days. It's crazy.
That's a lot. I didn't realize it was 9 hours for 3 different days. And did you like having the in-between or no?
Yes. Just because I think when you're taking it, I know most everyone else goes back to back and it's usually like a Monday, Tuesday situation, but our entire exam is written. So you only have 10 multiple choice each test.
Oh, are they worth a lot of points, the multiple choice part, or not really?
No, they're worth 10 points. I could be wrong on that because I haven't looked at that since I took it, but there's 10 questions no matter what. And for Louisiana Bar, it's out of 900 points. And to pass it, you need 650 out of the 900 points. So,
Okay.
yeah. So the way that they grade it, obviously you have graders, which is the same as anybody else, but they're just Louisiana attorneys, professors, I guess, anyone that's passed the bar, I would assume. And our entire exam, besides those 10 questions at the end of every test, is written. So you're given a full set of facts, and then you're given questions, and the questions are worth 10 points, 5 points, 1 point, whatever, and they're all typed out onto I don't remember what it's called. But yeah, so funny because I got a memory on Snapchat today that today a year ago was the day I downloaded the software and had to test it out before I took the exam. Anyways, but yeah, so you have to get 650 points out of 900 to pass. And when you pass, it doesn't tell you your score. Like, you don't get a score when you pass. You just get told you pass.
Oh, wow. So you don't know if it was like by a lot, by a little, or anything. Wow. Well, can you walk me through what the day looks like and how many people were testing? Because you took this and passed. Congrats. Last year, right? In July?
Yes. Yes.
Is it only offered twice a year?
Yes. So it's only offered July and February, just like I'm assuming every other bar. I'm just going to take you back through kind of how I went about it. Our testing is only offered in Kenner, Louisiana at the Pontchartrain Center. So everyone that's taking the Louisiana Bar Exam has to go to the Pontchartrain Center to take the exam. Okay. Which, in a way, I guess is good because they don't have to worry about several different places. But it sucks because the Pontchartrain Center is just this big arena that is usually used for like games and things. And they just set out a crap ton of white tables and they put chairs at it. And you just sit in this big auditorium room and take the exam. But I live 3 hours away from Kenner. So I had to drive all the way down. And for me, I have such a big, like, routine situation that I have to follow a certain routine for everything I do. And so I ended up going down. Me and my friend Jillian from law school went down on a Saturday, got our hotel room. We shared a room Saturday, Sunday. So that way we weren't trying to drive in on a Sunday and then test the next day because that's just a lot of stress. You don't know what can happen. You don't know if you're going to break down or something's going to go wrong. So Sunday I spent the entire day just refreshing on Code 1 and then Code 1, Code 2, and Code 3 because that was day 1 of tests.
What is Code 1, Code 2, Code 3?
Yeah, so Code 1 is persons and family, all Louisiana. So persons and family, Louisiana property, and matrimonial regimes, which is community property in Louisiana. So those are the 3 subjects that are on Code 1. They're all tested. Code 2 is successions and donations and trusts. Code 3 is a lot of things. So Code 3 involves obligations, which is Louisiana's version of contracts. We have liberal prescription, which is the time period of like how long you have to file certain things. So liberal prescription. Then we had, what else is Code 3? Sales and leases, security devices, and I know I'm missing one because there's a 5th one. So I think it's 5 subjects in Code 3. Code 3 is the heftiest code, most complicated code to test. Then on Wednesday, it's Louisiana Civ Pro, Torts, and BA. So all of that's kind of Louisiana-fied. BA is somewhat similar to common law BA, like what you learn in law school, but there's a little nuances that Louisiana has. Monday is the code exams, and they're way double than the other exams.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we don't get averages. Like we didn't get like a score at the end, so I don't.
Yeah.
We weren't given our score, so I'm not really sure how that worked. I had so much anxiety over it. I just said, screw it. I'm just going to focus on studying and it's going to be okay.
And it was.
And it was.
So you do 9 hours. When do you take your lunch? So you start at 8 a.m. and like after part 1 and 2, do you get a lunch or do you just have your lunch with you?
No, I want to say that we did, if I remember correctly, it really is just a fever dream. But I want to say that we did Code 1 and then we did Code 2 and then we did lunch and then we came back for Code 3.
Wow. That's a lot.
If anyone else is listening and took the Louisiana Bar, I know we just like honestly we were so tired and so stressed that I can't even remember at this moment, like, what exactly we did. I just remember that we took, like, a 15-minute break, but the 15-minute break was really only 10 minutes because they said that you could go outside and take your little break before we came back in, but you had to be at your seat between, like, 5-10 minutes early or something like that, and so I basically didn't really leave.
How many people were in the testing center when you took it? Do you remember, like, about how many?
A lot. I wanna say, like, 600 people, but that
Oh my
sounds like
gosh.
but honestly, it was every person that was taking Louisiana exam was there, so it
Yeah.
was a lot of people, to be fair. I just
Yeah.
don't know the exact number off the top of my head. I don't even think we ever got told that.
No, that makes sense that it was really big. So, do you have a lot of, like, security checkpoints? You had to show everything, um, or was it pretty relaxed? Did you get any notes, or was it closed book?
Everything was closed book, first and foremost. Everything came straight from the noggin. The check-in process honestly really wasn't as stressful as I made it in my head.
Mhm,
We got there and we had to go through metal detectors,
mhm.
but before you go through the metal detectors, you were required to put everything in a Ziploc bag, and the Ziploc bag could only contain one highlighter, an extra pen, and it could only be in black ink. I remember that. I don't even think they allowed blue ink. I think it was just black ink. A pencil in case you had to write your exam. We had our ID in it, your power strip cord, because we were required to bring our own power strip, and your charger. You had your laptop, and your key card, because I had my key card for my hotel room. And then
Oh,
it had your keys. Like, if you had to drive there, then you put your car keys in it, but it couldn't have anything else in the bag. Like, that was it. You were only allowed to have a clear, like, plastic water bottle. You weren't allowed to have, like, an Awala or anything like that. I'm pretty sure you could only have water because either you could only have water or it had to have a cap on it, because I remember a bunch of people had canned Cokes and they had to get thrown away at the door. They wouldn't let them bring it in.
that is an interesting thing to bring at 8 in the morning, though.
Yeah. So no coffee. You couldn't bring your coffee with you, which
I would be
sucked.
dead. Yeah,
Um, because I needed it.
yeah. Well, 9 hours? I don't know how you did that. Wow. And what was Wednesday like?
So Wednesday was the same.
Mm,
We went in, we started testing at 8. I'm pretty sure around 8, and we did, I want to say LA Civ Pro was first, if I'm not mistaken, and then business administrations. So same situation for lunch. Um, we drew not the lucky end of the stick. We got the bad end of the stick because Mississippi College is a outside school. So most of the Louisiana schools had their school provide lunch. And by provide
mhm,
lunch, I mean, like, they had tables set up in the um hotel that was next to the Pontchartrain Center where I stayed, and they had, like, Chick-fil-A and Cane's and whatever, and they brought them lunch, and so you
mhm.
didn't have to pay for it, whereas we didn't have anyone to do that for us because our school's not in Louisiana, so there was no one to bring it to us. We had to either go and get lunch or you had to have lunch with you. So for a lot of my friends, they drove from a different hotel and came to the Pontchartrain Center. So I think most of them kinda just brought lunch in their car, and then most of my friends were married, and so their, like, partner was with them and, like, just took off for the week
Mm.
and, like, brought them their lunch, which was really nice. Me and Jillian, we had sandwiches. We brought sandwich meat and bread and, like, mayonnaise and put it in the little fridge, and we ate lunch in my hotel room. And while I was stuffing my face full of sandwich and trying to eat something to get brain food, I was reviewing for the next exam.
Oh gosh, yeah.
And I know that, like, a lot of people don't do that, but for my peace of mind, I was just someone that if I
Mhm.
review it and I see it, it's easier for me to remember exactly what it looked like on the page, and
Yeah.
then I can apply it to my exam. That sounds crazy. It's kinda like a photographic memory, but it's not. Like, I don't have a legitimate one. It's more of like,
Yeah.
if I've seen something enough times and I've written certain notes, I can remember the handwriting, the color I used, the placement on it, and kind of
Oh, wow.
pinpoint where I wrote that and then piece it together. If I can't remember exactly word for word, I can remember most of it, which is why I'm kind of a visual learner in a sense. But yeah.
Wow.
So then that was Wednesday, and then Friday was the same thing, but just with the other subjects.
So, could you tell me what your bar prep was like? I don't think I realized you were testing for that long, so I'm curious if your bar prep was like terrible and super long too.
So I graduated May 16th, 2025.
Mhm.
That was a Friday. We graduated at 8 a.m. or 10 a.m. in the morning on a Friday. I started bar prep on Monday, the next
Mhm.
week. I started bar prep the 19th. We had originally everyone started bar prep the same day, technically, unless they started earlier because they were getting married or people were working and studying at the same time. So they were like part-time-ish. Um, but we had just finished finals. So the crazy part of our entire bar prep situation was most people had like a week in between their finals and bar prep.
Mhm.
No, I took finals up until that Wednesday, I wanna say. Wednesday was my last final,
Mhm.
and Friday I graduated, Monday I was starting bar prep. So, our school decided to start this group called Camp Esquire, and one of our ALA teachers
Uh-huh.
was in charge of it, and
Mhm.
it was basically a group to make sure everybody had a place to study at the school,
Mhm.
had someone to hold you accountable because you were studying with other people. You were at the school, so the professors were there. They could see you. You could talk to people. And then we had these like breakout groups that were separated by your state, like what state you were taking the bar for.
Wait, this was your law school you graduated from, right? So you were in Mississippi.
For 1 week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I was a little different because I I lived in Jackson, but I was moving back to Louisiana to study for the bar because I couldn't afford to stay in Jackson. I didn't have a support group in Jackson besides going to school, like going and studying at the school. I just didn't have like family. I didn't have anyone to take my mind off of it because everyone there was bar prep focused.
Mhm.
And I could not afford to live in Jackson without having a job because, student loans only ran so far and I had nothing else to back it up. And my
Yeah.
parents definitely could not afford to pay their bills plus the bills there. So they were like, just come home. You can obviously go back to your old room. And I had reached out to my firm that I'm going back to and asked them if I could study in my office.
Uh-huh.
And they were so kind and so generous. And they said, absolutely, we will get it ready for you to come and nobody will bother you. It'll be optimal. But the first week I studied at the school and we did Camp Esquire. And so what they basically did was they would provide lunch like once a week and we would do like these like silly little breakout games and stuff so that everybody kind of had some relief from bar prep. I think they did like a cookout one time where our dean came and like cooked like hamburgers and hot dogs, and they had like a band or somebody karaoke or something. I was not there for that, but they tried to do stuff to make everybody's spirits just kind of go up because bar prep sucks. But anyways, I was there for a week and we got inducted. We got sweatshirts, we got shirts, we got ball caps, we got these little bandanas to represent that we were part of Camp Esquire.
That's so
And
cute. I
you
love
had to
that.
go yeah, you had to go on every day when you got done with your hours to put how many hours you worked and like what exactly you did on your Barbary. And that way they could see like, hey, she's on track. She's doing whatever she needs to do. If you were behind, then they were like reaching out and being like, hey, I see that you only did 3 hours today when you were supposed to do 5. What's going on? Did you just need a break? Or how are you going to catch up? They were just on top of you trying to make sure that nobody fell behind, which for a lot of people I heard was great. Like,
Yeah.
I personally needed the accountability just because I needed someone to just kind of push me to get me up on the days where I just didn't want to get up. But yeah, so the first week I stayed in the bottom library, the silent library where you're not supposed to talk. And I had my headphones in and I was doing my Barbary. Louisiana only does Barbary.
Okay. Does your school provide your bar prep or do you have to buy it separately?
Ours was included in our tuition. So technically we already paid for it. So it was already ready to go.
Mhm.
And we had Barbary since 1L year doing the regular Barbary where you could like go and watch videos and take little quizzes and stuff, which was helpful my 1L year and only for federal classes. It did not help for Louisiana because there was no Louisiana version for us. But yeah, Barbary is the only course material that you can use for Louisiana.
I didn't know that. That's crazy.
No other source, no, Kaplan doesn't have Louisiana. Adaptabar doesn't have Louisiana. There's no source material at all to help you with the Louisiana bar besides Barbary. Like, Barbary took the monopoly of Louisiana, which I think is absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
But the only thing that we had to pay for out of pocket outside of what the bar prep, which was paid through our tuition through Mississippi College, was our books. But you had to pay $250 for your books to get shipped to you. But once you got done with the bar, if you sent your books back, you got the $250 back.
Oh, perfect. Because who actually needs them?
Right. So I got $250 back after I took the bar. So that was great.
Nice.
Needless to say, I ended up going back to Louisiana and I studied at my firm for the bar prep besides 1 week.
How was it studying there?
It was great. I won't lie. I mean, to be fair, bar prep's not fun at all. There's no bright side to bar prep. I honestly think it is just this dark hole that just keeps sinking and sinking and sinking. It's draining.
Yeah.
But going back to the Louisiana, so I have such a kind of I say odd, I don't think it's that odd. Studying for the bar, I had made a plan with my best friend, Abby, that we would study together. Abby was not taking the Louisiana bar. She was taking the Tennessee bar. But we were both study partners in law school, but we didn't study the same classes because she was in the common law track and I was in the Louisiana track. But we worked well side by side, holding each other accountable, just being there for each other and like not letting each other freak out. And so I personally needed that during bar prep. I was like, I'm not going to get anything done if I don't have anyone sitting there just like near me to say, hey, how did you do today? Or like, did you get whatever XYZ done? So I took over our moot court Zoom because our moot court Zoom had been upgraded to where, you could have Zooms for hours and hours and hours and hours without it going off. And so we ended up doing Zoom. And so I would split screen my Zoom on my computer and I would have Abby in this little box. And every morning we would get on our little Zoom and we'd say, good morning. How did you sleep? What are your thoughts for the day? What's on the agenda? We would run through that like in a good quick 10, 15 minutes. We'd get in our little yap and then we would mute ourselves, but we'd keep our cameras on. And we studied the whole time. And then when it came to lunchtime, if I was in the middle of something, she would text and be like, hey, I'm going to get lunch. I'm turning my camera off. I'll be back at 1. And then when 1 o'clock hit, we went straight back to the office and we turned on our cameras again. We said, hey, this is what I'm doing next. And then we muted ourselves and we got to it. I treated bar prep like a 8 to 5 job.
Yeah.
I did Monday through Friday and I took Saturday and Sundays off until the last 2 weekends. Yeah. So the last 2 weekends before I took the bar were the only weekends that I actually did bar prep.
Wow.
And I just knew I was already getting burned out 3L year. And I was putting in so much time and effort into bar prep already that if I would have done Saturdays and Sundays, I would not have made it through the entire summer at all.
Yeah.
And that was just me. And it worked very well for me. some other people didn't do that, and they were like, there's no way I'm taking 2 days off. However, for me, I was so efficient with my time, and I followed Barbary to a T. I never skipped. I never skipped anything. I did everything on the list. And because I did everything on the list, my hours were above what they needed to be. Like, I was always technically ahead in my hours, but I was just doing the thing that it said every day. So, like, for Louisiana, honestly, all the way from the end of May to like July, the very beginning of July, we were watching videos and doing exam questions, like exams. The problem with Louisiana is, I know for the common law, Barbary, Texas, what theirs was that they got these like short little cartoon videos they would watch. We didn't have multiple choice questions because the bar examiners do not post the multiple choice for us, which is
Really?
also crazy, okay? That's so rude of them because we didn't have any to practice with. Like, the
So
practice
you don't even
questions.
know what you'll be asked at all?
No. So the practice questions for the multiple choice that we got are questions that the bar, like, not the bar examiners, like the professors that write the Barbary materials or whatever. It's questions that they made, like, that they think the bar would ask, but it's not bar questions. Like, the bar did not give us the questions from old exams. And if you look on Louisiana bar website, like, you can get up to like the last 4 or 5 exams, which are not in the Barbary testing material books that you get. Like, the latest ones haven't made it into the book yet. So when you look those up, you only get the essays. You don't get any of the multiple choice. So you have no idea what they're going to look like at the
Were
end.
they similar, do you think, or not really?
But I would say they were kind of like the bar exam questions, but not. I just felt it was unfair because we didn't really get much to practice with.
Yeah.
And you only got that, and it wasn't even real bar questions. So it was really hard. And for me, multiple choice is my worst enemy.
Yeah.
Like, we're at a standstill when it comes to multiple choice. Both of our swords are drawn, and I'm either going to be cut in half and only get half of them right because I second guess myself, or I might
Yeah.
get lucky and get them good. I don't know. But yeah.
Wait, so you mostly watch videos and then, like, were you mostly doing that and writing the whole time?
Yeah, so that's another thing. Our videos were lectures. So we had hours of videos. It was a different person for each subject. And I think like 2 of them I remember did more than one subject, and there were several videos. So, like, each subject had one video, but some subjects had 2 to 3 to 4 videos, and they were all over an hour long, and you had to watch them. Some of them had handouts, which was in the handout book. You got a code 1 to code 2 to code 3 book that had all of the tests in it, and then you had the rest of the tests in the other book. Then you had a big outline, the big set of outline, and then you had the mini version, the condensed outline. If they had a handout, they'd say, hey, we have a handout, look in your handout book. And then through the video, you would be told to, like, fill in the blank. And that was kind of like their way of saying these are the things that are going to be the most tested. But during the video, most of them would go through either the handout or they would go through your outline, and they would tell you to say, like, this is always going to be tested. You need to put an A by it, or you need to star it, triple star it. And then they'd say, this is sometimes tested. This is never been tested. And so you went through and you would mark it, or at least that's what we were told to do. That's what I did. And I would mark it in my big outline, and then I would go back and do it in the mini version, because the condensed version usually had mostly just everything that was always tested within it. At least from what I can remember, that's how it kind of followed. But yeah, we would mark it, and I would sit there and we would watch videos. And I think to a certain degree, the videos were helpful because it just gave you like a refresher in a sense. However, I think the videos got to a point where we were watching videos for every subject and we didn't make it to the end of all the subjects till July. And we were just stressing because there was just not enough time to do more questions. Like, even though every day you were doing exams and it was telling you to self-grade, and then at the end we had to submit, I think we submitted an exam. I know I submitted Code 1, Code 2, Code 3, and I think torts. I don't know if I submitted anything else after that. I think it only required us to do those 4. But then a grader would actually grade it and they would give you a score. And then they'd give you like feedback comments on like what you could have done better or what you missed or things that they thought that the model answer said that you didn't say. And they would say, go see the model answer for more explanation. Also, the model answers were just that. They were model answers because I'm going to be so frank.
Mm-hmm.
I got PO'd reading some of these model answers because some of them were wrong. And when I say they were wrong, I mean they were wrong. And I got so angry at one because I did an entire exam and I want to say it was property or persons and family. It was code 1 and I did it. And it said, okay, now you did it self-grade by using the model answer. I went to the model answer and the model answer said something so different from what I wrote. And I was like, there's no way in absolute HE double hockey sticks this is correct. And I know it's not correct because I was so confident in this section. And I ended up sending our little group chat of all like our Louisiana bar takers because we had a group chat and I was like, did y'all take this yet? What do you think? And every single one of them was like, no, you're right. They got that wrong. So I don't know. And then some of them just say so much like extra stuff.
Yeah.
That you're not going to have time to add all this like flair and dramatics to your essay. You got 3 hours and you've got several essay questions. You're typing as fast as your little fingers can go and your brain is firing on all cylinders. You're stressed, you're tired, you're exhausted. You've literally spent hours and hours and hours and hours and hours studying all summer.
Yeah.
There's no periods half the time in your answer. There's no commas. Like, we're not being grammatically correct. There's things spelled incorrectly. You're just moving. You're moving and grooving. And yeah, it was a lot. I'm not going to lie. It was a lot.
Yeah.
I was stressed. I was a snappy, snarky, mean person. And which a lot of people would say I'm naturally like that, but I think bar prep just took it up several notches.
Yeah.
And I will say that my parents, my family gave me so much grace. I don't think I could ever have anticipated them giving me that because I was so like I was on go every day. Like, if someone wanted to fight me, I was going to fight you. And like, that was just, that was just how nerve-wracking it was. And I remember my mom would make sure, like, in the mornings, because my nieces would get brought over for her to watch. And while my brothers went to work and my sister-in-laws went to work. And I just remember she would make sure that I got up every morning to get to work at 8. Like, I was up there, I had coffee, and she'd be like, okay, have a great day. Are you going to be home by 5:30 or are you going to stay late today? And I was like, Mom, I don't even know. Let's see. And I would be up there and she'd be like, okay, well, dinner's going to be, at the house. If dinner wasn't at our house, it was at my brother's house. And she would just text me ahead of time and be like, hey, dinner's going to be here. If you're not going to be here in time, let me know. I'll get you a plate and bring it to the house. And, like, you can heat it up. Yeah. And then like the days that towards the end I spent not at the firm, I ended up studying at my house, I think the last week, because I had just gotten to the point where I needed 0 distractions.
Yeah.
And my firm was great. I am so, 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 so thankful, grateful, all of the things, because they allowed me to use a amazing office. I was there every day. Um, sometimes I was there from 8 all the way till 7 at night, and I was the last person in the firm, and the lights were all out, and it was spooky as all get out, and I was terrified to walk and see a shadow. But um everyone that I know, like, could say, like, Maggie really did treat this as the most serious thing. And I remember the first week I got there, I had set everything up, and one of the partners that's going to be in my group, he called me to his office and he was like, "I'm so excited that you're here. You're going to rock the bar. We're rooting for you. Here's some books on extra, like, as extra material that they're old, but like maybe they'll give you some clarity on some things. Like, if this is useful at all, please take them. If you have any questions," like, every single partner, every associate was so willing to help. I
Uh-huh.
remember each one of them coming in and being like, "Hey, I know this is a stressful time. I know that you are overwhelmed, but please do not hesitate. Like, I know we took the bar so many years ago, but each of us has knowledge in at least some area of the bar. Like, we do
Uh-huh.
this every day. So if you have questions, please do not hesitate to just knock on the door and come in. Like, we're not going to turn you away. We will, you know, pause whatever we're doing to help you." They were so nice. And because it was the summer, we had summer interns, and they take the summer interns to lunch, and they go to lunch and they go to drinks and they do all this stuff. They never hesitated to include me, which was so,
Aw.
so, so kind. I would have them come in and be like, "Hey, I don't mean to interrupt, but we're going to go to lunch today. If you are available to go to lunch, we're going to go here. You can ride with us or you can take your own car. It's going to be paid for. You don't have to pay for it." All the stuff. It
Aw.
was so
Yeah.
nice. After hours, they would go get drinks, and so they would invite me on, like, if the firm went to drinks, and we would go get cocktails, and they'd be like, "You deserve it. Like, come get dinner. Come have a drink. You spent all
Yeah.
day studying." Like, they were very, very kind, and especially, like, during lunch, they
Uh-huh.
knew my routine, so I had a sign on my door, 'cause everyone knew I was studying for the bar.
Yeah.
The problem is that everyone was like, "Maggie's so smart, she knows what she's doing. She can take a little break." And although that's true, I am a big, big stressor.
Yeah.
So I ended up having a few of the guys come in, and most of the firm is men. Like, there's very few women that are attorneys, and they're older. But I had a lot of the associates at the time come knock on my door and be like, "Hey, like, this, and this is going on. Like, what are your thoughts?" I'm like, "I don't have any thoughts.
Yeah.
I have 12 plus subjects in my head right now, and I don't have time to talk to you." And
Yeah.
so I ended up putting a sign on my door because I had a do not disturb sign. The
Yeah.
do not disturb sign didn't work. So I ended up I took a piece of white paper and
Uh-huh.
I put in all caps, "Please," what did I say? Uh, "No time for yapping," in all caps. And underneath it says, "Please do not disturb." And I taped it on the door. And I
Uh-huh.
remember that, like, the moments where I didn't have headphones in, when I was, like, just listening to videos, I didn't put my headphones in because I'm in an office. Who am I gonna interrupt?
Yeah.
They would walk by, and I was in a corner office in, like, the back. So unless
Uh-huh.
you were over there and you specifically came by that office, you weren't gonna see the door. Like, you weren't gonna see the
Yeah.
sign. And I remember some of our paralegals, she came by and she goes, "Oh my gosh, did y'all see the sign on Maggie's door? It says, 'No time for yapping. Please do not disturb.'" And so she took everybody to come and look at the sign. And so
Uh-huh.
everyone at, like, lunch that day was like, "Maggie, why did you put that sign up?" I said, "Well, this associate, this partner, this associate, they've all come to my office." And I'm like,
Name
I
dropping them.
I cannot see you right now. And they were like, "Oh, well, okay, that makes sense." So, I was very deep in the throes, and
Uh-huh.
I ended up my study method was I write everything out.
Mm-hmm.
I had a notebook and I had those big Post-it sheets that you stick on the walls. I
Yeah.
had those, and I had a huge whiteboard in my office that was already on the wall. Throughout law school, I had 3 big whiteboards, just my
Mm-hmm.
own personal whiteboards, and I whiteboarded everything to the extent of I had a color-coded system, and which everything was color-coded, but each board was a different color.
Yeah.
And so everything was written in black besides like certain things. And so I did the same thing with each subject
Mm-hmm.
and ended up sticking it on the walls. And then my board had like in one little area on the whiteboard, it had my agenda for the day and it had everything that was on my Barbary like to-do list or whatever that it came up. And I would put it on the whiteboard so that way I felt more, because clicking it done just didn't give me the satisfaction. Whereas
Yeah.
like marking through it on a whiteboard was like, I accomplished
Yeah.
everything today. And so there was just stuff everywhere. The room was covered in Post-its, paper, all the things. Every single um test exam I took, um some of them I would write out after I had typed out my answer. I would rewrite the model answer
Mm-hmm.
in my notebook. And that might have been way too much, like way extra, but it worked for me.
Yeah.
Um and like I said, it was colored. I like went and got colored pens because I only had black at the time and got
Mm-hmm.
colored pens. So I'd write the question in black and I would write my answer in whatever color I chose for that subject.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was a system and I ended up like printing out all of the exams that were not in my exam book. I did all of them. I typed out everything. I even set up like this document where I set up everything that was always tested so that I had like a whole version of it that I didn't have to just like go flip through the outline to see what I needed to know. I had it in one document so then I could reference it back in the outline if I needed to. Um what else? What other crazy things did I do? Oh my gosh, this one. I
Uh-huh.
was so lost in property. Okay. I had some of the best professors. I will say I did. But there were 2 professors in general at MC Law. I will not name them. The problem is that certain professor we love, love, love so much.
Mm-hmm.
He's extremely smart, knows everything about the law, but he's not good at teaching it.
Oh, I hate that. Yeah.
And he would mix things up and tell us things like so in depth detail, but then couldn't explain it for us. And so when it got to that part of the bar and like
Mm-hmm.
studying for property, I struggled a lot with the specific um laws with like if there was a pipeline under the ground, there were specific articles, Louisiana articles for that. Was it a building or was it another construction? Those 2 were the hardest for me to learn because they just didn't make any sense to my brain.
Mm-hmm.
Stephanie, I was so deep in just stress. I had a full breakdown. I had a
Mm-hmm.
mental breakdown and tears just leaked out of my eyes. I sat there and just could not get it.
Mm-hmm.
And I went home. My mom was like, "Baby, go take a shower, come eat
Uh,
this dinner, and go to bed." I was like, "Mom, I can't. I have to figure this out. Like, I have to. Like, I'm going to move on from this subject tomorrow." Because, like, you don't stay on the same subject for more than, like, a day because you have to get
yeah.
through everything. And so I'm like, I have to get this before I go back because I'm going to forget if I don't master it right this second. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think I just was so insane in the brain that I thought, why don't I make a podcast of me talking about the articles of a building versus another construction? I put in Google Gemini and I said, create me a podcast. Well, it didn't create me a podcast. It just gave me a bunch of words and was like, you were going to have to read it out loud.
Yeah.
So I went on my lovely little voice notes app on my phone
Mm-hmm.
and I pressed start and I made up my own little jingle that I don't even know, and then just started speaking in this like voice and started like explaining the articles with my notes. And I just remember cracking up at myself because I finished it and I stopped and I played it back. I sounded like I was on crack. Like just imagine a exhausted, barely there brain,
Mm-hmm.
barely, her eyes are barely open, and the words are just coming out. Oh my gosh, it was crazy. I did that. I put it through like this. I also went back to Google Gemini. I think AI is great for certain things, and I had it make me a chart because I just did not have the time and the brain power to do extra work. So I was like, here's my notes. I had typed everything and it was written. And I said,
Mm-hmm.
here's my notes. Can you make me a document that's a chart explaining this with examples? And it did. And I ended up I was so crazy. I sent it to my professor and I was like, hey, can you double check this and make sure that like this is making sense and it's correct? I kid you not, I emailed it to him and within like 20 minutes he emailed me back and said, this is amazing. Can I use this for my class next year?
Or you're like, ooh.
I said, I created it with my notes, but I put it through Google Gemini to give me a thing. Is that okay? And he was like, yeah, I mean, it's the law. Like, it's not, you didn't make anything up.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was a little bit out in the weeds for a second and just could not get it. And then I ended up in like criminal law and torts. I made voice memos of me every day. I would listen to my voice memos, and then I would listen to my podcast and my voice memos in the shower, and I would recite it back to myself. And one day I got out of the shower and my mom, like they can hear me. My mom and dad can hear me. The shower is like near the living room. And so my mom called me in and she goes, what were you doing in the shower? And I said, I was saying my definitions and I was giving examples. And she said, you sounded like an insane person.
Yeah.
So everyone does crazy stuff during bar prep. I don't think my stuff was that crazy. It did help a lot. I tried to just do what Barbary said, and it was just like, okay, take the exam, watch the video, and then that was it. And I was like, there has to be something extra. But by the time I got done the first week, I was doing all of this extra stuff that was not what worked for me. And I was staying up till 10 o'clock the first week I started. And I was like, there's just no possible way this is going to be my life for the next 2 months. Whatever you realized worked for you in law school, you need to apply it for studying for the bar because it is the same game. I don't care that you're studying 20 plus subjects and you're taking it 3 days and you have this many hours. You cannot change up to just fit this narrative of like, this is the way that bar prep should go and this is the way that they're telling me to do it.
Yeah.
There are certain things that work for people that do not work for others. And me, I couldn't just type things out and I couldn't just watch the video and then do that and be done. I needed to write it all out. I needed to see it in color. I needed to put it on the wall. I needed to talk through it. I needed to have my moot court coach who I would FaceTime and I would send him the PDF version instead of just the book. So I sent him that and had him go through it. And I was like, today we're going to do property. I want you to quiz me on property. And so he would go through and be like, okay, what are the elements of, or if it had elements or whatever. And he would try and like make a scenario and I would have to give him the answer. And he'd be like, yes, or you got this part right, or you didn't. That helped me. A lot of people like Quizlet. Someone had made a Quizlet and shared it with me. it did not work for me.
Yeah.
Quizlet is not my friend. I hate Quizlet. But my other friend Jillian also got that Quizlet and she thought it was the best thing ever. But she also loves flashcards. She made
Yeah.
flashcards the entire time through bar prep. And she had like, by the time we went to go take the bar, she had this huge stack for each subject. And that gave me like hives.
Yeah.
But, but But it works for her because that's, like, her method of studying, and
Yeah.
she would put it in the, like, "Okay, I got this right," or "I got this wrong," so then she could just, like, see where she was not doing the best at, I guess.
Mhm.
But, you know, my biggest takeaway is don't try to change your study habits to meet a version of bar prep that you think you need to be doing. Do the work, but do it with whatever works for you because you're gonna waste more time trying to figure out that study method and you're going to waste time because you also don't understand it and it's not working. And then by the middle of the time, before you're halfway through, you're going to be like, I don't know anything because I haven't been doing what works. This
Yeah.
isn't working. So that's my biggest advice. Yeah, it's really important because if I could sum up bar prep as a whole, it is like throwing you to the fire and you
Yeah.
have to figure out how not to get burned and you're in the
Yep.
middle of the flames. I don't say that to scare anybody because that's never my intention. I think we just had so much scare tactic with the bar. At least on my end, I was terrified. But the big takeaways is it is a mind game.
Mhm.
Like, you at least for Louisiana, like, I know I would say this is as a general statement, but everyone took a different bar, so maybe everyone felt a little different, but you truly are getting hazed
Yeah.
through this process, and you would think that because you've taken these classes, you've learned the material, you think it makes it easier, but you are doing something so different from your law
Mm.
school exams. For us, it was not that bad for our code exam because we had this one professor who was truly the best professor, hands down. But he taught us, he prepared us for the bar because all of our practice exams, all of our practice questions, and our actual finals exam were bar exams for that subject. All of our practice exams were old bar exams, but his
Mhm.
final, he would write it himself, but it would be in a bar exam format.
Yeah.
So we also had the same amount of time to take the exam because they were all 3-hour courses. So he really set us up for success. All of the subjects that he taught us for the bar, we were not worried about. Like, yeah, you might have had some things that you like struggled with certain like articles or certain rules, but you were not worried about the test strategy or like how to structure your exam. Like, we really worked hard on that. But for the other exams, I mean, we kind of knew how to do them because we had gotten that from him for the
Mhm.
other the code exams, but it was really hard because, like, for me, for business associations, I had a horrible teacher. And I don't say that to, like, shame her or say she's an awful person. She was a amazing human, and she was so nice, and she's so smart. But sometimes the smartest people are the worst teachers. And that was my worst grade in law school was BA. And
Mhm.
to be fair, it was one of the easiest subjects to learn for the bar. At least for
Mhm.
me. Like, I was so worried going into it because I was like, I did horrible on this exam in my class in law school, and I'm about to do horrible on the bar. Like, I'm going to fail this exam. And I went in and it's really mostly just like rules, like,
Mhm.
and there's not a whole lot of analysis to some of it. And I actually like didn't worry about it until the end because we got a new bar examiner and we didn't know that because Barbary takes you through like from 2011 and starts you with 2011 exams and kind of like works all the way to the newer exams, but it never got to when we got a new bar examiner. So whereas like the old exams had you like reciting what was necessary for a corporation,
Mm-hmm.
like the specific rules, the new bar examiner was like, no, we're not testing you on that. That's too easy. Like, here's an essay. I need you to like give me here's a fact pattern. I need you to give me an actual essay. And so I will say this, not to scare anyone, but the week before, we did not know that. And me and my friend Lexi were on Zoom and we were trying to work through it together because we had just gotten to that point where it was like, okay, I just can't just keep typing these like by myself. Like I need to work through some of this with someone else.
Yeah.
And I couldn't do that with Abby because Abby was doing Tennessee. So I did it with Lexi. And we printed out the 2025 February exam
Mm-hmm.
because it had gotten posted. And we opened it and we were going to time ourselves. We got to the first question. And I kid you not, we were like, what is this?
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
this is not what I know. And I don't know any of this. We went through all the questions and probably only knew one. And we were so terrified. Like I sat there and cried
Mm.
because I was like, I don't know any of this.
Yeah.
And so we took that whole day. I remember that was the week because it was the week before I was at my parents' house. And I sat at my desk and I cried my little eyes out. I got up, I took a second, I breathed, I went into my kitchen, I got an Alani, I came back, I sat down, I said, we don't have time for tears today. We need to lock the hell in and get this. Let's go back
Yeah.
to the drawing board. Let's see what they're testing and let's see what we're missing. And so we went back and just like rerouted it and was like, we're just going to focus specifically on this and figure it out because it was derivative action was like something that hadn't been tested that way
Mm-hmm.
ever. And so
Wait, who does create your exam?
I don't know. We have a different bar examiner constantly.
Like different everything?
Let's go to that because we got new examiners and I don't think it's the same examiner for every exam. I think it's a different examiner for every exam. Because I was told that after I took the bar
Mm-hmm.
because I was so pissed when we
Mm-hmm.
walked out of the bar exam on Friday
Mm-hmm.
because we got a new examiner for the criminal and crim pro section or the first, like that test.
Uh-huh.
And Stephanie, when I say that every single exam from like 2011 to 2025 of February was
Mm-hmm.
the same exact format.
Mm-hmm.
And the first question was list the crimes. Like, tell us the crimes that happened throughout this fact pattern. Identify the
Mm-hmm.
crimes. They were always generally the same crimes. There was always going to be a conspiracy. There was always going to be a murder. There was going to be some form of property damage. And it followed that pattern. And you just had
Mm-hmm.
to remember the crimes and like learn them. And you were Gucci, okay? Crim Law and Crim Pro are my number. Crim Law, Crim Pro, and Civ Pro are my best subjects, hands down, through law school. Was not worried for the bar, okay?
Mm-hmm.
The second essay was Crim Pro. Crim Pro never asked an evidence question. Ever. We never got evidence questions on anything, any of the exams I did. And I did all of them. Okay? I don't want to sound crazy, but I did all of them. And there was never an evidentiary question, except
Mm-hmm.
for, like, was this search proper? Or like, that was the only type of evidentiary question you were going to get. But that was Crim Pro. We got to the bar exam and I sat down, I opened that exam. I was so ready. I was like, I have no stress with this. Opened it. I made it halfway through the first set of facts and sat there and said, where the hell are the crimes?
Oh,
Where are they at?
no. Yeah.
They're not here. I'm knocking on the door, nobody's home. Like, if I sat there and I read the full fact pattern trying to identify, I had a full breakdown. That was my first breakdown on the last day of the bar. I got up. The only time I ever got up from my chair during the exam.
Mm-hmm.
And during the exam, if you get up from your chair, you have to sign out with your number and your name.
Really?
And then
Okay.
like you're going to go to the bathroom, you have to sign out and you have to put like the time you left and then you have to sign back in. So I got up because I just stared at the wall thinking, what in the hell is this? This is not what I prepared for. I have no idea where the crumbs are at. I don't I only recognize 5 crumbs total. What is going on? Like, this fact pattern just doesn't make any sense. Went to the bathroom, looked in the mirror, wanted to bawl my eyes out, looked myself dead in the eyes and said, suck that shit up.
Mm-hmm.
Go back, sit down, you've got this. Sat down, started listing the crumbs. Turned to the next set of questions, which is Crim Pro.
Mm-hmm.
Every Crim Pro question was always about, like, a warrant or was the search proper? Those were the questions. Every
Mm-hmm.
single exam. That question was those 3 questions were nowhere in sight.
What?
The question was this stop reasonable? And we were just dumbstruck because what was that? Found out we got a new test examiner. And we also got a new examiner for the federal civil procedure exam. When they say there will be one thing that has never been tested on your exam, they don't mean that there's just one thing out of the entire 3 days. They mean that for every single exam. Not just every single day, every single exam, there is something that has never been tested on each test. So for code 1, there's going to be something that you don't absolutely know that's never been tested. Huh? Surprise, figure it out. Code 2, same thing. Code 3, same thing. Torts, same thing. BA, all the things. So every single test I was sitting there going, at least on one question. What in the world?
Yeah. Yeah. That sounds terrible. 3 days, a whole week, and expensive. How much is the Louisiana Bar?
I spent around $4,000 with the bar application fee, the character and fitness, what's the test you take, the ethics test?
The MPRE?
The MPRE, and I feel like, my hotel room, my savings to make sure, like, I say savings, my parents had to give me money for me to stay, to eat on, to, like, get groceries. It was a lot. Like, and I split my hotel room with my friend Jillian, which was the only reason I really stayed with someone was because I just could not afford to have a room to myself for a whole week from Saturday
It's expensive.
to Saturday. Like, we stayed Saturday to Saturday. So it was a lot. And, yeah. Let me just say, one thing that I think MC Law really didn't do well was they did not tell us to apply sooner. And because the character and fitness and the application just take you so long to do. But apply early, get your character and fitness done. Fingerprinting. Oh, yeah, you had to pay for fingerprinting. It was just a lot of money. We were just shelling out money in this short span. I ended up having no savings left. And when it got to the application fee, and the application fee was like $3,000, I know it was $3,000 because I borrowed $3,000 from my firm, because my firm was not one of the ones that said that they would pay for my bar application fee, because they were just like, we don't want to be paying for people if they're not going to pass the bar. And they were like, we know you're not. They were like, we know you were going to pass, but we don't want to set that standard. If, they expect that, then they have to pay it back. And that's just a hassle. And he was like, we don't want to do that. That's just bad contracting. So, I ended up going to them because it got to the point where I had no money left. And I wasn't working because I couldn't work. And, my parents just didn't have $3,000 laying around. The board said yes. They gave me a check for the exact amount. Had me sign this paper that basically said this amount will come out of your check starting when you start your job here to pay it back. And So I did that, and that's how I ended up being able to afford everything. And my poor friends were struggling, and
Yeah.
because none of their firms would pay for their stuff either. So I don't know what the price of everyone else's bar exam is, but Louisiana is outrageous.
$3,000 is a lot of money. I did not know it was that expensive. Ours is $1,000.
People
That
think
is
that's a
so much
lot.
money for an exam.
I know.
Well, Maggie, thank you so much for coming back on here and explaining all of that and taking your time to do that. It was really insightful. I did not realize how intense the Louisiana bar is.
Yeah. I hope that I gave some helpful insights and, maybe some great thought-provoking messages to help anyone who is currently studying or is going to study for the Louisiana Bar. It is a big hurdle to jump over, but it's manageable. It's doable. You can do it. I believe in anyone and everyone that puts their hard work and effort into it. And if you, for some reason, don't pass, no one can take away the hard work you did, and
Mhm.
you will continue to do to take it again. So never give up is my number one thing to say. And don't change your study habits.
Yeah. That is it for today's episode. Again, I'm Stephanie Ponzanelli, and this is Legally Ponzanelli. Thank you so much for spending your time with us today. Be sure to check out the links in our show notes where you can find our sponsor, Belmonte, this month's guest gift provider, Las Comadres Mail Club, and our Kaplan Bar Prep discount code, PASSWITHPONZ, to save an additional $100 off your bar prep course. You'll also find links to all of our social media platforms. We'd love for you to follow along and be part of our community. And because your girl is currently studying for the bar exam, you'll also find my Amazon wishlist in the show notes. If you'd like to support me with a little study session surprise, that's exactly where you can find it. If you have any comments, questions, or suggestions for future guests, email me at legallyponzanelli@gmail.com. And if you're a law graduate who wants to share your story and journey to becoming an attorney, I would absolutely love to hear from you. Thank you again for listening, and I'll see you in the next episode of Legally Ponzanelli.